The Yorkshire Coastcast with Paddy. Loving life in Yorkshire. The people, the places.
Hello and welcome to episode 59.
This is the coast.
Coming up, we'll be finding out about a fracking protest in Scarborough. Also, a big funding boost for the Stephen Joseph Theatre. It's Sci-Fi Scarborough this weekend. And also this weekend, we're doing the Yorkshire Three Peaks Challenge. And for a very worthy cause to the Rainbow Centre in Scarborough. All that and more to come on the latest episode of the Yorkshire Coastcast podcast, which you can get wherever you get your podcasts from. You might be listening on Spotify. We're on Apple, YouTube, and always at thisisthecoast.co.uk/podcasts. And you can also ask your smart speaker to play the latest episode of the Yorkshire Coastcast podcast. We'd love it if you subscribe so you get notified whenever we bring out a new episode, and a positive review would be fantastic too. Let's start with Scarborough's historic Stephen Joseph Theatre, which has been awarded a massive £2.7 million investment to fix its leaking roof and completely revamp the McCarthy Auditorium. Matthew from This Is The Coast has been speaking to the theatre's joint chief executive, Caroline Routh, about this great news.
Over the moon. Couldn't be more delighted for the theatre and for Scarborough. It's a huge investment and we can't wait to get started. We've got £2.7 million and it's a lot of work. We have a leaking roof, we have air conditioning units and heating that don't work. So there's a lot of infrastructure stuff, but we're also going to carry out a full refurbishment of our McCarthy space, a lot more wheelchair places, new toilets, new seating, a bar area, breakout space for some of our dementia-friendly screenings. It's going to really transform that space.
And how important is it to be able to get that done?
We've been patching the building together for quite a while now. The building's 90 years old. The theatre refurbishment or renovation is 30 years old. We've got 140 holes in our roof at the moment. So there are buckets in lots of places backstage that we try and keep away from the public, but we've really been struggling to keep things going behind the scenes. So this is just going to make all that so much better. And it'll stop us spending all of the money that we're spending on maintenance at the moment and repairs and allow us to put it back into the programme of work.
I love that you've got a tally and obviously a log of all the holes in the roof. That's quite impressive. What's the impact of doing these works going to be? There's obviously going to be some disruption, is there, while this is carried out?
There will be, but not as much as you might think. The theatre will stay open throughout because the round auditorium can continue to have its full programme. Most of the work on the roof will be done around the shows, so that won't disrupt. The McCarthy will be closed for its refurbishment, so there's probably about 30 weeks when that will be out of action. But throughout that time, the rest of the theatre will be open, so we'll just make sure we put lots of other activities on in the other spaces.
And those works obviously are not going to happen immediately, but having the money now must enable you to start the planning.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking at the works taking place in 2027 with the plan that everything will be finished in time for Christmas next year.
And obviously the structural stuff, as you say, vitally important on a building of that age. There's so much heritage in that building to be saved. But actually the other element of this is opening the building up, isn't it? Making it more accessible.
Yeah, it's really important to us. The McCarthy hasn't really been touched since we did the conversion 30 years ago. And what people need has changed. And we're very conscious of the fact that there's only limited wheelchair positions in the front row. And a lot of people like to come and see a film and have a choice of seats, which we're going to be able to do. There's going to be an accessible toilet in that space for the first time. And what we're also going to do is we're going to create the backstage. It's all for many levels. So we're going to sort all of that out, which means that it's going to be a much more usable space for performers, for technicians who also might have different access needs.
The team must be delighted.
Over the moon. Yeah, I've used that phrase once, but yeah, we can't quite believe it, I think. But yeah, we're thrilled. We really see it as a huge testament to the fact that the DCMS and Arts Council have looked at what we do, seen the value of it, think that it's really important to keep that going, and given us quite a significant chunk of money to help us do so.
And that was Caroline Routh speaking to Matthew from This Is The Coast from the Stephen Joseph Theatre.
The Yorkshire Coastcast. Loving life in Yorkshire.
And this is episode 59 of the Yorkshire Coastcast podcast. Don't forget, This Is The Coast is the local commercial radio station for the Yorkshire Coast on DAB, online, on smart speaker, on apps, and also on Roku TV as well. Next up, it is Sci-Fi Scarborough this weekend, the 12th outing for Sci-Fi Scarborough. Doctor Who, the Daleks and Kat from Red Dwarf are all going to be in the area this weekend. Paul McGann and Janet Fielding from Doctor Who, Danny John Jules from Red Dwarf and Star Wars actor Femi Taylor among those taking part in the convention. Co-organiser Steve Dickinson has been speaking to Matthew.
We've been going for 12 years now, since 2014. You've got to gradually build it up and get people's confidence as an event, because there's a lot of events like this style around the country, and you want people to choose yours over others, and you've got to give them reasons to do that. And obviously we've been doing that for a long time now, and since COVID we've had to rebuild again, which has been fun. But yeah, we seem to have everyone back on side now, and it seems to be hitting a peak that it was previously hitting in 2019. So we're quite happy with that.
The calibre of people you get says something about the event. There's quite a Doctor Who theme to this year's outing.
Yes, every year we must have some Doctor Who guests. It's very popular with the people and fans and the geeks of England, and people come up from all over the country to come and meet a doctor or an assistant or an alien or whatever. And also Star Wars is very popular as well. So we tend to focus on those two franchises, but we're open to others as well. Red Dwarf, Star Trek, Stargate. We try to introduce new stuff every year, new guests, and we try to have a fresh roster of guests every year as well to keep it interesting for everyone. We've got Paul McGann coming, the 8th Doctor, Danny John Jules from Red Dwarf. We've got Femi Taylor from Return of the Jedi, Duncan Powell from Rogue One and Andor, Janet Fielding, Tegan Jovanka from Doctor Who, and Trevor Butterfield from Return of the Jedi, who played multiple characters in the film.
Yeah, some wonderful names turning up at the weekend then. You've got something a little bit different this year as well. There's a UFO invasion going on by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've been trying to pull off since the very first Sci-Fi Scab. Get a hold of Paul Sinclair, who's a local UFO expert, very respected throughout the world and followed by a lot of people. He's very knowledgeable, and he's on TV quite a bit in various shows, especially Ancient Aliens and stuff. He's filming stuff with them at the moment. So his stock's on the up. And we've got James Coppert, who's our local ghost hunter and paranormal expert. And we've got a room called the Evidence Room, and they're all going to be in it, and you can wander in, have a chat with them and talk all things UFO and paranormal. And then they're going to do a panel talk on the Saturday for 50 minutes. I don't think anyone's done this at a convention before. So it's blurring the lines between reality and sci-fi, which we like to do as well. So we're really looking forward to that.
Nice. And of course, no convention would be complete without an appearance from some Daleks.
Oh yes, Dalek Earth Force, always a joy to have around, terrorising everyone, chasing kids around, scaring everyone, scaring mums. These guys are great. The Dalek Earth Force team with the Davros as well. And we've got the con captain coming this year, Captain Jack Barrowman cosplayer. It was a lot of fun. I've seen a few of his videos on social media. Yeah, we've got a lot going on this year. You know, the droid builders are back. We've got a full cosplay team and a day of cosplay. The body painters are coming back. There's just tons going on, as usual. And of course, Mando will be out the front, the Mandalorian, riding up and down his speeder bike and showing you the way, basically.
Steve Dickinson there, one of the organisers of Sci-Fi Scarborough, which is happening at Scarborough Spa this weekend. It's last weekend, interestingly, that we spotted just a stormtrooper on his own walking down Burniston Road towards the open air theatre. I'm not sure if there was any pre-Sci-Fi Scarborough photo shoot going on, or whether it was just someone very keen to get to Scarborough and get in the mood for Sci-Fi Scarborough. But that was a great sight. But that and so much more to enjoy at Scarborough Spa this weekend.
The Yorkshire Coastcast, loving life in Yorkshire.
And this is Paddy, and we are going to be doing the Yorkshire 3 Peaks walking challenge this weekend, Saturday the 18th of April. It is around, well, it depends on who tells you, but according to Ordnance Survey, it's actually 26 miles, and it is over 5,300 feet of elevation gain as well, and the challenge is to do the Yorkshire 3 Peaks in 12 hours or under. And because me and my other half do this sort of stuff quite regularly, if I was to get sponsorship from you, the This Is the Coast listener or Yorkshire Coastcast podcast listener, I think we'd need to do more. So we're doing more. We are going to do a rainbow of challenges. There are 7 colours in the rainbow. The rainbow sent to the beneficiaries, of course. This is one challenge per month for the next 7 months, culminating in the Yorkshire Marathon in October. And the first event this weekend, the Yorkshire Three Peaks. There's going to be some silly stuff in between that. So I got me other half, Nikki, on the show on Thursday morning to announce what we were doing. I started by mentioning how we just needed to do more to get sponsorship in, because people who listen to the show will know that we do this kind of stuff for fun quite regularly.
We do. We kind of just do that on a whim on a weekend, don't we? What shall we do? Let's climb 3 peaks. So this time we're doing it as part of a challenge to help the Rainbow Centre.
But we've also said we're going to do a rainbow of challenges, which is seven challenges in 7 months, because there are 7 colours in the rainbow. Thank goodness there's not 30. And we were talking, weren't we, about some of the stuff that we're going to be doing, because we both fancy doing a marathon. But when we do
yes.
but when we do the marathon, we have agreed.
Competition time.
It's competition time. We've agreed.
It's competition time.
We've agreed. Unlike the ultras that we do, where we do it all together, it's
because that's teamwork, isn't it? So whereas the marathon, I'm not a marathon runner. I haven't done one. You're not a marathon runner, but you're more of a runner than I am. But I think I will beat you.
You do. I know. You've said this, haven't you? You've said this. You think I'm going to get off quite fast early on, but you think you're going to catch me up at some point and be waiting for me at the finish.
Because I'm always waiting for you near the finish. So this is why, in my mind, I'm going to beat you. So, because we do these things all the time, we're pushing ourselves a little bit further this time. A little bit like with the Lyke walk, isn't it?
Oh, I knew you were going to bring this up.
Yes. We've decided to do the Lyke walk for a 3rd time because the 2 previous times, there's just been one of us who's not been able to complete it. Who was that, sorry?
Yeah, that was me.
I nearly forgot that.
Well, we got about 20-odd miles in the first time, didn't we? We ended up doing 30 miles, actually, because we had to
We did more than what we would have done.
Yeah. But it was getting dark, wasn't it? And we weren't fully prepared. I hadn't brought enough batteries for the head torches, and phone signal was a bit bad. And there was just... Yeah.
And the second time, when it was also getting dark...
Yeah, well, the second time we didn't even get 10 miles in, I don't think, did we?
No, because we tried a different time, and it got dark, and again, we took a different path and did a load of other miles, which wasn't a lightweight walk. So that is a challenge for both of us, but it's really a challenge for you to succeed because I'm sick of failing it.
Yeah, I know. And the funny thing is, we've done longer walks, haven't we, than the lightweight walk? But for some reason, I just have a little problem with it, a little mental problem. So, we're going to do that as part of this challenge. But we're also talking about doing something fun. Some of the cinder track in a 3-legged format, yeah? In
a 3-legged format, and we're possibly looking at maybe 7 miles attached together.
Yeah, you didn't like the idea of that, did you?
No.
Well, let me quote you. When we were talking about this, when I come up with this idea, you said, "What if I want to get away from you?" is what you said.
Indeed, because I do like to walk a lot faster as well. I can just see me dragging you behind me. Yeah,
and then we've got the 10,000 actual steps in a day, which I think is a great idea. I'm not sure you were quite so enamoured with the idea, but walking up and down the McBean steps in Scarborough next to the Grand Hotel, 32 and a bit times, I think, to get 10,000 actual steps in.
We will do that one as well. And, I thought it was a race, but you said it wasn't a race, so that was a little bit disappointing. I thought we were going to be running up and down the steps.
We're going to be walking up and down 10,000 steps in total. So I think that's going to be quite a challenge. Anyway, there's more to announce as well, but we would love people to fundraise because the Rainbow Centre is fantastic, isn't it?
Well, yeah, we're doing it for a good reason. We're here to support the Rainbow Centre. James has come up with a fantastic idea to kickstart everything, and so we're fully behind him.
And if you'd like to support us on our first of 7 challenges for the Rainbow Centre, a rainbow of challenges, then you can donate on the Just Giving page. We'll put a link in the description on this podcast, but also the direct link is justgiving.com/page/rainbow challenges. That's justgiving.com/page/rainbow challenges. And anything you can give, even £1, and a good luck message would be hugely, hugely appreciated.
The Yorkshire Coastcast, loving life in Yorkshire. The people, the places. This is the coast.
And this is episode 59 of the Yorkshire Coastcast podcast with me, Paddy Billington, brought to you from This Is The Coast, the local commercial radio station for the Yorkshire coast. Next, Campaigners from Frack Free Coastal Communities are urging residents to join a protest outside Scarborough Town Hall on the 24th of April to oppose controversial plans for a gas drilling rig in Burniston. The demonstration is scheduled for midday on Friday the 24th ahead of a North Yorkshire Council Strategic Planning Committee meeting where councillors will decide on the controversial application. Europa Oil and Gas has proposed constructing a temporary 38-metre gas drilling rig to assess the potential for natural gas in Burniston near Scarborough. The plans have faced fierce local opposition, gathering more than 1,600 objections from residents, local Member of Parliament Alison Hume, Friends of the Earth, and local parish councillors including Burniston, Cloughton, Newby and Scorby and Scarborough Town Council. The planning application was originally scheduled for a decision in January but was postponed after requests for the government to intervene. The Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government recently declined to call in the application, passing the decision back to North Yorkshire Council. Here's Professor Chris Garforth from Frack Free Coastal Communities.
It has been passed around. I can understand reluctance to getting involved in making the decision because there are so many red flags. On the one hand, planning policy nationally basically says development should be allowed where it's good for everybody and where the negative impacts on people can be avoided. From this proposal, the only people who will benefit from this going ahead are the shareholders and directors of Europa Oil and Gas. There's no benefit to the local community, whatever the company says.
The campaign group has also raised serious concerns regarding the planning process itself, escalating a formal complaint to Stage 2 of the council complaints procedure.
We have made representations in the normal way through the consultation process. We have explained to the planners what we feel is wrong about this application. We have written to all 90 North Yorkshire Council members, elected members, to tell them of the complaint we have lodged about the way the planning application has been handled. We've written separately to the 15 members of the Strategic Planning Committee, pointing out the various ways in which the officers' recommendation to them goes against the provisions of their own minerals and waste joint plan. So we've done what we've can to get our message across directly to councillors.
And Professor Garforth is hoping for a large turnout at the protest.
We do have an opportunity on the 24th to make our voices heard, both outside the town hall and also within the council chamber. When we had a protest march at Burniston, it's about a year ago now, we had around 250 people there. It was a fantastic turnout. That was a Saturday. The 24th of April is a Friday, so there will be people who can't turn out. But we're confident there'll be a lot of people there with their placards, with the message to the people who will be meeting in the town hall. We also have an opportunity to speak to the committee members on behalf of the objectors, and then representatives from the local parish and town councils will be speaking to explain why locally elected politicians are so adamantly opposed to the proposal.
But why are people so opposed to it?
There are three sets of reasons. One is the climate crisis. We all know, and the science tells us, that any newly discovered gas and oil reserves should not be exploited. It should stay in the ground if we are to avoid the worst effects of catastrophic climate change. So that's one thing. Secondly, the technique that the company are proposing to use to persuade the sandstone underneath our coastal villages to give up its gas is fracking. It's a low volume form of fracking that is not currently banned by the moratorium on high volume fracking. And thirdly, the environmental effects in this area could be catastrophic. We're worried about air pollution. We're worried about the sound pollution, the dust, methane escaping from the development. And we also know that although the company and the planners are emphasising the temporary nature of this development, they're saying, oh, it's only going to be there for a short while and we're not producing gas, we're just appraising what's under there. What the company is saying to its investors and shareholders and the public at large is that they are planning a 10 to 20 year development of the biggest onshore gas field in the UK here on the Yorkshire coast. And so the environmental effects and the knock-on effects on the local tourist economy are potentially huge, and people are really worried.
Professor Garforth, you can get more on that story at thisisthecoast.co.uk in the Yorkshire Coast news section.
The Yorkshire Coastcast. Loving life in Yorkshire.
And this is episode 59 of the Yorkshire Coastcast podcast. And next up, a Driffield electrician is warning us that we are unwittingly taking risks with electrical equipment at home due to a widespread lack of knowledge and DIY skills. New research being released has coincided with new wiring regulations coming into force, and this research has found that many people are not alert to the everyday habits that could raise the risk of injury or fire as households accumulate more gadgets and electrical devices without checking if their home is up to modern standards. Andrew Snaith has been speaking to Driffield electrician Mark Allison.
Is this something you're encountering with your work? Are you having to go out to sort of correct things and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, of the past, it was more basic things where people would have a go at changing light fittings and end up getting the wires mixed up, and that's generally when our phone starts to ring. But these days, we've got electrical equipment that people are connecting into wiring systems as well that might cause them trouble, such as the recently announced plug-in solar systems that are going to be coming to the supermarket aisles pretty soon. So there's a lot for consumers to think about at the minute.
Why is it, do you think, that people are sort of increasingly doing this?
I think there's a few parts to it, to be fair. A lot of it is driven by the cost of energy and the cost of tradespeople as well, where we're all living in this times of expensive prices for basic food and heating and things. We don't have a lot of disposable income to be spending on people coming into our homes and doing repairs or new installations. So there's elements of that as well. And equally, trying to save money off those energy bills by using some of these plug-in solar systems. We see the adverts and marketing around them, and yeah, it's all driving that forward. So I think a lot of that boils down to cost and expense.
Yeah, and I mean, is there some misinformation out there? Do you think, Mark? Do you think that maybe things won't cost people as much as they maybe think it would?
Oh, absolutely. And when you're putting safety into the prime consideration of this stuff, then cost would very rarely feature as often as it does. You know, we sleep in these homes at night. Our electrical systems need to be there to keep us safe. And a lot of consumers feel that their electrical installation is safe because it very, very rarely goes wrong. It's only when something horrible has happened that you need those safety devices and you need your wiring to be in good condition. It's interesting that a lot of consumers haven't had their electrical installations tested in well over a decade, when guidance from our industry as homeowner occupied properties should be tested at least once every 10 years. But that comes from the point of view that while it works, nothing's broken. A lot of these safety mechanisms we have are only really needed when something has gone wrong, and that very, very rarely happens. Testing is a big one that consumers need to think about.
And as well as that, I mean, any other tips at all that you would give to anyone listening?
Yeah, I mean, don't overload your extension leads. That's another big one we see, where often sockets are maybe not as prevalent in your home as you would like. So they tend to get this daisy chaining effect of extension leads. So if you are going to use one of those, make sure it is just one plugged directly into a socket, and don't be overloading them with high-powered equipment as well. That's one of the biggest causes of fires in the home. It's overloaded extension leads. So think about that before you start plugging everything into one point.
And that was a Driffield electrician, Mark Allison, speaking to Andrew Snaith from This Is The Coast. Well, that is just about it for episode 59 of the Yorkshire Coastcast podcast. Thank you so much for listening in.
The Yorkshire Coastcast. The people, the places.
Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcast from, and leave a review. A great review would be much appreciated. Thanks so much for listening. See you next time.
The Yorkshire Coastcast.
Loving life in your